Donttap presents The Couch vs. the Coach, a new podcast that pits your favorite capper against your favorite coach. The hardcore versus the fighter, the homework versus the real work. They go head-to-head making picks and you benefit. New year, new show, let's f***ing go.
I like the juxtaposition to have a professional fighter who really knows the breakdown to the finest detail of what's going on in the cage against the guy that's got to dig in and do work on tape that might not know some of the intricacies of what's going on in the cage, but may have an edge on how to bet angles and see things a little bit differently from those angles. So I like the head-to-head in this. I like the couch versus the coach idea. Adam Assenza, welcome to the podcast. We'll start off here for couch versus the coach. We have BTC champion, 2-fight win streak. What a firefight against Reyes. What a beautiful finish. And then for you, just to have the belt and then now being able to knock on the door to the UFC. How do you feel about the last year, brother?
Yeah, the last year has been great. I've been, nice and busy. Would have been nice to get one more in, but, this is a new year. So, we're working on things now and just looking to get right back in the cage and just have a busy, fun year. So I'm excited.
And then Billy, welcome back to the show. Usually it's you and I chopping it up on the normal Donttap podcast. We got you on Couch versus the Coach this week. You're going up against Adam. Now for you, how was your week last week with the UFC card? What was your either bad beat or big win?
Big win was Fernando Padilla, man. Got it on the money line, had it inside the distance, round one sub, 12-1 odds. The big loss was I ended up, of course, across the fucking sweep last week. I had the kid that bit the other dude on the arm, Igor De Silva from Shoot a Box. That was dog play of the week. And, hey, if you're going to lose, at least let it be a little bit entertaining, right?
And my parlay cashed the other way. Because he bit him, my parlay closed on the prelim parlay for the Donttap. Adam, what do you think about that quickly? And then we'll just jump right in because I know that your time is of the essence and I know that you got to get things rolling. So what did you think about that biting thing? Is that even how does something like that happen? I get aggression mixed with things, but I don't know how we get there.
Man, that's weird. It's like, if you're going to bite somebody, at least Mike Tyson them, bite their face off or something. He's biting the bottom of his arm in a clinch while he's faced against the cage and he's basically holding a body lock from the back. That's weird, man. It's not even like.
It would have been weird if he had bit him on the back. Then we're getting into some weird territory. But yeah, anyways, it is weird though. He's not going in viciously and he's just sort of leaning into him, and it's like I was listening to a podcast this week. They said in wrestling sometimes you do actually see that where guys will get an arm wrapped around their mouth and you'll see it, but it's not two sides of the teeth. It's only one side, so it digs in. And it naturally happens, but it's not like this guy clamped down, just weird as hell. But a lot of people have heard about that. Let's dig in because I know, Adam, you got to probably hit the ground running here. So couch versus the coach, 3 picks, 3 plays. You know the point system. If we don't, I will highlight as we go. Adam, bring your first pick to the table for UFC Atlantic City.
My first pick is Njokuani versus McKee. I feel like McKee's got awesome takedown defense, and I got him on the feet against this one. I feel like it gets finished in the second or third round.
So you think McKee's got this one?
I do.
Okay, so McKee. So if you're looking at it, money line right now, McKee is a plus money play. So that's 2 points for you. That alone is already a smart way to play it. But the suggestion for you is that he probably gets maybe a little bit of a later finish. So for any of you listening out there, looking at a third round decision prop might be something you want to look at, or maybe even just the over, some play along those lines. So, but yeah, so that's 2-point play. I like that. I don't mind that at all because I think they're going to stand on the feet. And Njokuani will go really sharp on the feet. So is Reese McKee. And if Njokuani doesn't get it down, he's shown that lately he's not taking punches well. And if he's thinking about that while he's in there, thinking about taking a punch that he shouldn't take, that's the problem. So we'll see how that goes. Don't mind that play at all. 2 points for Mr. Maverick. All right. You're in it. You're not against me, bro. You're up against someone who actually knows what the fuck they're talking about.
I know.
So let's go. Maverick versus Briz. Let's go. Briz, what do you got?
Yeah, man. I'm gonna go with the 2-piece here. Narleton Ruziaboa and Bill Algeo 2-leg -105. We actually seen a lot of drastic line movement here on the Ruziaboa fight. The market kind of seems to like Dumas here in this spot, and the matchmaker seemed to like Dumas. for a guy that's gotten signed to the UFC, he's gotten a very easy draw of competition so far. Josh Frem, Cody Brundage, Otman Azatar. And if you look at these fights, these are on like big, high profile fights. Pay-per-view card, Islam Makhachev versus Volkanovski 2, and then the ABC card. But I'm shocked that he's getting these opportunities, man. I mean, I don't talk about stuff outside the cage too often, but it's hard not to when you're looking at this fight. Dude's been arrested multiple times throughout his tenure here in the UFC. And if you look at Ruziboev, despite the lack of competition and his unknowns about his cardio, I mean, this dude's a bad motherfucker, man. Great story about Ruziboev. He came over to the Philadelphia gym at Renzo Gracie Jiu-Jitsu and with the hopes of having a fight. Wasn't even on the radar of the UFC. Stayed at the gym for a whole entire year, training day in, day out, just with the hopes of a short notice call out. And he finally got that call up in his last fight. And, man, he took every advantage of it. And I think that's going to be the key here. It's going to be the striking here. Both guys are going to want to strike in the beginning of the fight. But once Dumas feels that power of Ruziboev here, he's going to start desperately shooting in for the takedowns. And when you see a guy like Ruziboev, the EVOV last name, you think he's a wrestler, but it's really the striking here. I think the striking is going to come into play. And I know Kyle Nelson, friend of the show, we're going against him here in this one here.
I'm going to call you out on this one. As a gambler, I'm going to call you out on this one in a minute. But go on.
I like the Bill Algeo spot, man. He's a legend down here in South Jersey, Ring of Combat. This is like literally I could spit outside the house in my backyard until
you're being a homer right now, okay? Chalky homer.
I'm being a homer here. I think there's countless amount of advantages here.
Stop 1 minute. You know, I'm going to stop you right now because this is where I interject. We've done this enough, my friend. How many times have I told you Kyle Nelson is a guy that finds ways to win? He brings close fights. Now, don't get me wrong. I think Bill Algeo is way better than the last two guys he's fought. So I think there is a jump up in competition, at least as far as what he's fought lately, not from what he's fought in the past and what he's able to fight. He's a vet. Plus 200. The line is moving to plus 200 right now. If you want, by any means, just want to be a gambler on this, this guy hit 2 plus 200s last year as a dog. Mr. ROI, no matter what, that's from a gamble. Never mind MMA, never mind Adam Assenza being a pro fighter, never mind me being a wannabe fan. That's a gambler perspective. You almost have to hit it. You would have to actually almost hit that on the side, not tell anybody about it. But go on.
But I think it's an experience advantage. Like the last two people that he's fought, granted they're prospects, but they weren't experienced. They ain't never fight nobody across 15 minutes that's going to bite down on their mouthpiece and go forward right there with them. And that's what Bill Algeo is going to do, man. I mean, granted, Nelson's durability is definitely changed throughout his career, but I favor Algeo here in the stand-up, and the ground game is actually where I think this is going to come into play here. We saw early on in Kyle Nelson's career, he struggled with wrestlers like Matt Sales and Diego Fiera, and I think that's going to come back to haunt him here. I like Bill Algeo, and I think he's going to be able to find the submission, but just for this two-piece here, Naruto Ruziboev, Bill Algeo. If you want to get better odds on it, I would take Ruziboev inside the distance because if he's going to win this fight, ain't going to be no 3-round decision. It's going to be him finishing Dumas in the early goings of the fight. And the same thing for Bill Algeo. While the sports bettors and the line odds makers have this favored Bill Algeo to win by decision, I think he's going to lock up the submission here, man.
One thing you're not getting about Nelson is Nelson's a dog. And the thing is, the last two guys he's fought, he didn't have to pull any of that out, right? So if Bill Algeo is as sharp as he's looked, if he can put that on Nelson, Nelson won't back down. You know, at the end of the day, that man's a complete fighter. So he's just chosen where he wants to fight the guys. His last two opponents, he's just chosen what he wants to do. But, you know, he's a stud, man. And I think Bill Algeo's got his hands full and even more. So I got to go against you on that one.
Now and you can feel the fire because it's someone he's trained with and it's this area, right? So we're protecting our own guy, but at the same time, it is the one thing that people don't realize about Nelson now is the growth in his ground game from, say, 5 years ago to now, and he hasn't had to show it, as I'm saying. I know he pretty much runs the jiu-jitsu program at House of Champions, which is traditionally a striker gym, yes, but he's on the ground grappling a lot, and I think he has enough to stifle the Algeo offense if Algeo did get on the ground. I'm a huge Algeo mark too. I like Algeo, honestly. He's been great ROI. Love the fighter. Love how he carries himself. But I just think that Kyle's actually a much more strategic stand-up guy than people give him credit for. He sets people up with his is feint of power, and you sort of back up and you don't really know when you're waiting for it. As soon as you feel it once, even partially, you're like, shit. Then you think about it, and he catches you as soon as you think about it. Then he runs feints on you, and he marches forwards with his Muay Thai. Like, it's just, he's a lot smarter, and the market always fades him. So I love to fade the market when they continue to lose. But I get matchup-wise, LJO is not what the guys were before. See both sides of it, but I will let you know that Kyle Nelson is my dog of the week. Adam, take it away.
Yeah, I feel the same way. You want my next pick, or you want me to talk more about the Monson?
No. You can jump in with your next pick, brother.
Yeah, okay. So Vicente Luque versus Joaquin Buckley. I got to go with Vicente. I think Vincente's been setting up his strikes a lot lately. He's looked a lot different, and obviously he's a phenomenal striker. Obviously, he's looking to take the less damage route with how he fights and whatnot. But I feel like he's going to catch Buckley early. I feel like he's going to catch him early.
I think with that fight, for me, I actually flipped on the other side of it, and it was only the one thing you are right about is you see Luque has sort of taken a different approach to his stand-up. He's not leaving his head on the center line, and he's exiting a little bit better. So when he's not leaving his head out there to be hit, he's obviously made a really conscious effort. Like, you can see it in the stand-up, because he does present power, right? He does land big shots too. That was still the thing for me. Buckley's power is there, man, and I like Buckley on that side. But I do like what you're saying. Like, there's an inside the distance potentially there. There's potentially a submission from Luque. There's potentially a knockout from Buckley. If anybody wants to look from a value standpoint of inside the distance, it's definitely a play. But if you're looking at your side right now, you're at -110. So that'll be a 1-point play for Luque. But I do see it. It's going to be one thing that is for sure. This could be fight of the night, I think. I don't see this stalling out too much on the ground with Buckley on top with a little bit of wrestling, Luque grabbing, but it's going to end up on the feet for the most part. And definitely going to be a fun one to watch.
The scariest thing I would say about putting money on Vicente Luque was that brain hemorrhage sting that he had a couple years ago. The doctor recommended him never to fight again. And granted, he's gotten a win since then, but that just doesn't sit well with me, man. The brain hemorrhage thing, I mean, CTE is always a common thing to talk about here in combat sports, and his CTE's God, it can't be well. I don't know how long Vicente Luque is going to be fighting anymore.
It's hard to say. It's hard to say. There's the research on something like that is left and right, man. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So you can get a hemorrhage. You can be a 16-year-old girl and get a hemorrhage. You've never been in a combat sports or anything like that, right? So
yeah, it's more like the afterthought. The only thing for me with that is that's sort of cut and dry is just the after, like what the doctor said or whatever. Even if the doctor did clear him that it was a problem, so that's the only thing for that. But what caused it is one thing or the other. But the fact that it's there is still a thing. That's there. But I mean, the one thing that I think Luque does have going for him is his choice. When a fighter that is high level makes a choice to, like, he's decided to take a different route with his stand up. And he really is devastating on the feet. But you even had me second guess my pick as you said it, because it was the one little thing that was in the back of my mind that was bugging me as far as the stand-up. So I may at least change my approach to how I look at that fight. But definitely like the pick. Billy, take your next spot.
Yeah, this is one of those ones. I like it, don't love it. I like the total on the fight a little bit more, but we're going to have to go in here on Connor Matthews, New England Cartel's finest here, -102 here on FanDuel. This is going to be an East Coast battle here of the New England Cartel versus the Serra-Longo MMA gym, and the over-under on this fight's lined at over 2.5. It caught a lot of juice, opened up at -150, and then it's gone up to -172, and I couldn't agree anymore. This fight's going to be due for a barn burner. The old saying, styles make fights, and the offense here is where I kind of saw the advantage here for Connor Matthews. He's going to be the more aggressive offensive fighter. We've seen in the past, Bazooka takes one to give one when he's not fighting the trash can. More defensively sound, but he doesn't look the same when he fights on his back foot. That's the biggest thing that I noticed on the tape. Yeah, when he goes forward, he looks really good, but when he's backing up, he isn't the same exact fighter. And despite the training situation there at Serra-Longo MMA, he loses a ton of minutes cage wrestling in these fights. Sean Woodson is a striker. He was able to put on a wrestling clinic in that last fight. And then going back to the two Dana White Contender Series performances, when he fought Romero, Team Alpha Male collegiate wrestler, he was able to defend the takedowns, but that was the whole entire fight, was him defending the takedowns. There was no offense. When he fought Melsik Bagzaryan was able to walk him down forward despite his cardio being a problem. He was able to get the third round just by throwing more volume on the feet, and the intended betting odds in that fight were not in his favor. Matthews was signed to the promotion off of Dana White looking for a fight. I think it was a favor for the Boston people. Dana's from Boston area, and he's always being crapped on for not adding more Boston, Massachusetts fighters. And he didn't get an easy matchup at all. I mean, Matthews fought an undefeated Brazilian prospect who looked like he had the goods. He was able to use the pressure. The striking offense was able to work in the takedowns. And that same strategy is going to be in the play here for this fight. I think he's going to be the fighter with more volume in the bigger moments across the 15 minutes here. This market kind of tends to agree. This line opened up at -125 for Dennis Bazooka, and it's gone down to pick him. And we're talking about a hometown fighter, Ring of Combat champion, and the line's going down. Give me Connor Matthews.
I got you plus money.
Plus money? Where's the plus money at?
So what I am going to do for all your picks, I'm going to find the best possible line, right? So the best what that'll do then give you the best possible points. But you're at plus 102, which gives you actually a 2-point play. Which in a volatile fight like that is probably better to have a little bit more stake for it. So
I think the over is the best bet, though. I see that one going 15 minutes. That's going to be a barn burner. You might
the only
not
thing I
want
will
to watch it, but
the only thing I'll say is Bazooka, I think, is out in Vegas, and he's training out there pretty heavily now. So I'm not saying that's going to change things drastically, but I know he's out there with Marab. I know that they're together, and it's not like a fraction of the camp, which what it was for a little while. So I mean, who knows if his wrestling defense gets a little bit better? But if he has to use it, we'll see. But yeah, a little bit of that was more of a stay off for me. That's a little bit of a volatile fight, but I get the little bit of plus money. That's where you want to be in a pick'em fight, right? A little bit of plus money. It's a good play there. So 2-point play, and we will come in with your last spot, Mr. Adam Assenza, the Maverick. What do we got?
I picked. I had to get one of the girl fights, right? So Blanchfield versus Fiorat. I don't know how to say that properly.
It's some people say Firo, but yeah, I guess Firo would be probably the best way to say it.
Yeah, I'll say Firo. I got Blanchfield taking it. I think she's gonna just take over, via striking. I think she's got a lot more power than her, and it's an easy pick in my opinion.
She's she's got the takedowns there in her back pocket. So if Firo actually overextends at any point, she's on the hips. And the thing that she has going for, I think Firo might have maybe a little bit more of a technical striking sound, but you're right. She has a little bit more power, and Blanchfield does in her punches, and she doesn't back down. So she'll press forward with pressure.
Yeah.
And she's got, I know you got to say at least once a podcast for MMA. She's got that dog in her. She really does. She showed that in her last fight. She fought through the fire. So definitely, I think she's a solid money line. I think anything for anybody around, if you can get, it's maybe a little, I like -160, solely if you're to touch the money line on its own. Maybe look at Blanchfield by decision as just a play. I think this goes to the decision.
I think both this is the FanDuel special. It hasn't came out yet because it's not Friday after weigh-ins, but I'm eyeing up Aaron Blanchfield to win and fight to start round 2. Shouts to Coach Dina. Coach Dina down there, her husband's actually Aaron Blanchfield's striking coach, and she's given us betting tips time and time again. And it's going to be the striking here. Aaron Blanchfield's striking is where I think she isn't going to be able to get takedowns on Mariam Farot like she's done on other opponents. Fio has a really good takedown defense. I forget what the number is off the top of my head.
She grabs that overhook real nice.
Yeah,
she shuts him down. She uses that. Yeah.
I just don't see this fight hitting the ground too much. I think this is going to be a fight that's going to be taking place on the feet for about 25 minutes. And then if there is ground game, it's probably going to be on the Blanchfield side. And I think the Blanchfield to win / fight to start round 2, probably around even odds once that comes out on FanDuel. That's the money spot. That's the spot.
The thing about Blanchfield is, from what I noticed, is with her striking, she positions her opponents. So she positions them so they walk into her strikes. You don't see a lot of female strikers do that in the UFC or even high level, MMA girls. I haven't seen many that have been doing that as of lately with MMA. It's different because when you're trying to position somebody, they can grab you and stuff. But she gets off on those angles, and when the opponent comes across, she'll reach over with the opposite side arm or leg, and that's how she gets a lot of her big strikes. And she does it really nicely. She's good.
That's one of those golden nuggets right there. How she sort of corrals people into the big shot and use their momentum with her own power. Awesome. I love that stuff. That's why we have you guys come on the podcast as well too, to sort of break stuff like that down.
Awesome.
Okay. I think we've hit all spots. You guys got your three points out?
Yep.
I got one
Okay.
more.
Go ahead. Sorry. I always
the big plus money spot of the card here. Don't want to miss out on this one, because this one might be the one that, like, these are like one of those type of prop bets where, like, in theory, you would feel like the odds would be way higher than what it really is. Julio Arce to win by knockout in round 2 here at plus 550 on FanDuel. I mean, that's there for the taking. The book's already out here on Herbert Burns. While he's very talented on the ground, as a bettor, you have to notice if somebody's really good at jiu-jitsu or if they're really good at wrestling. And I don't think his wrestling's that good, but his jiu-jitsu is legit. But we've seen Burns just be a first-round or bust fighter. 63% of his wins, first-round subs. This fight set up for Arce to win. Former Ring of Combat champion. I mean, he spent damn near, I want to say, his first 12 fights down in Atlantic City, back at home in his own stomping grounds. And while Arce's been a tweener for a while now between the bantamweight and the featherweight division, he hasn't been able to get that signature win over a highly ranked prospect. I think this is a step down in level of competition. His striking volumes are going to be there, and his submission defense is on point. I mean, his only loss was by Brian Kelleher in a rematch fight on the regional scene by guillotine choke. Anybody that's watched Brian Kelleher fight, he might have the best guillotine choke in the lower weight classes. I don't know how he does it, but I think both fighters are going to come in off of a long layoff, but we've seen Burns not go deep in the fights. I can't tell you the last time he's seen a third round, probably since like one championship early on in his career. I think the path is clear. The game plan is clear. Whether the storm early, take over as the fight goes, we might get burnt, because I think he might be able to finish him on the back end of round 1. But I think the round 2 by knockout plus 550, if you want to just go round 2 alone at plus 430, I don't mind it at all. But Julio Arce in round 2, this is not priced correctly. A minus 400 favorite to win inside the distance at damn near even odds, but they're going to give you round 2 at plus 550. This is market undervaluing Julio Arce here in the spot.
I totally agree.
Yeah, with that spot, that's one actually is one of my hammer spots of the week. But I played it as one of my safe hammer spots of the week. It's the fight to end in round 1 or 2. That's it. Minus 157. I'm going to throw the house on that. Why? And I'll get another cliche that I got to get out every podcast. I'm not a fighter, but Burns got carried out of the cage by his brother, and it wasn't the knee injury. So I don't know. I don't know what to say there. I don't know the full details of that, but that image is burnt in my brain. So whenever that guy fights, it's a fate of him every time, and it has to be. I'm sorry. Some of the best fighters that I look to and talk to, like even talking with you, Adam, they fight for everything in the cage. And when you see another guy go opposite of that, after you have a team that puts so much time into you, and you just give up in the cage the way you do like that, you have to call it. You shouldn't be fighting anymore. Like, your brother carried you out of the cage. I'm a couch. I sit on the couch, right? I identify as a fucking couch.
You're not wrong.
I'm telling you right now. He walked out. What do you think about that, Adam?
Yeah, no, I agree. You're not wrong. You're bang on with that. There's kind of signs that, you can kind of tell with how performance is going to happen, the type of fighter that you're dealing with. And, you can kind of tell when things are starting to go the other way.
His brother carried him out of the cage. I've never seen that before in my life, unless the person was injured in their lower half or something. He was just exhausted.
Legitimate.
So
I think the commission ruled it as loss to exhaustion of damage. I have never seen that on anybody's record. Yeah, you'll see a doctor stoppage or a finish, but exhaustion due to damage, that just seems like, bro, you shouldn't be fighting
round
anymore.
1 and 2 minus 157 hammer spot of the week. But I like the KO by Arce because you damn well know that's the side. There's even a potential small submission side for Burns on the other side, but that's where I like the sort of covering with the minus 157. But I think that's even a strategic play where you hit the KO and you hit the minus 157.
Cal, did you see that price tag on the round 1 sub? It's really not that high. Round 1 sub for that size of an underdog, you would see at 10-1 odds or higher. It's only plus 750. I mean, I get it. 750 is high, but in reality for earns, I mean, 750 for a round one sub. I would want 10-1 odds on that. Third $10, win 100 or something like that.
Herbert.
A little fuck around bet, but I mean, plus 750 is way. I feel like the odds makers are trying to cover their behinds on this one here by pricing certain props at the way it is. You might just have to take the gamble here and just hope it finishes in round 2.
Yeah.
Okay, really quickly, let's have you guys say your 3 spots. So we'll have Adam say it first, and Billy, you say your 3 spots. And in 2 seconds, we will put together a quick little parlay, 2 pieces, and that'll be it. We'll call it. So Adam, quickly say your spots one more time.
Yeah. I got Njokuani versus McKee. I've got McKee round 2. After that, LGO versus Kyle Nelson. I got Kyle Nelson round 1 or 2. After that, I have Vincente Luque versus Joaquin Buckley, and I got Luque taking that by the 3rd round.
Now, you've given your suggestion for round props and everything else, but from a strategy standpoint, you just want to make those money line plays, correct? You want to have like Kyle's a dog, okay? Because there's enough value there, enough points there for you to easily win with what's there as far as the value from just the picks, unless you want to make a specific prop on a KO or something.
I don't.
No, keep it straight. Perfect way to do it, Billy.
He's giving out plus money, Cal. How can you be mad at that?
I get it. I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
It's Easter. You wanna be sitting by the wayside, or do you want to be the Easter bunny itself? I think the 2-piece this week, Narleton Ruziboa of Bill Algeo, that one is gonna sit well with people. Connor Matthews here on the money line. Give me the New England Cartel, and then Julio Arce, round 2 knockout. And then I got a potential throw out there for the 2-piece. It seems like we all agreed on Aaron Blanchfield and Julio Arce as the 2-piece.
Yep.
I mean, you guys put the 2 pieces together. It's not on me. I have my own 2-piece this week. It's Ruziboa and Lupita, but you guys do your thing. So pick your spots.
I'm with you, Bill. On that one.
I couldn't agree anymore with Adam's breakdown about the Aaron Blanchfield fight, because everybody wants to talk about her jiu-jitsu. It's going to be the striking that's going to help her out in this fight. So I couldn't agree anymore. I think that's spot on. Aaron Blanchfield probably her to win and fight to start round 2 is like the best bet of the week, just in case if she does finish it. I don't think it's going to be early in round 1. And then 2-leg parlay, Aaron Blanchfield, Julio Arce. I feel like that's going to be even odds straight there, money in your bank. Wake up to some money on Easter Sunday.
Sounds good. I think it's a good spot. I think when you have a fighter who's going to bring sort of a sharp angle and give us a little bit more insights, it gives you an edge on the parlay, and it has been hitting. Actually, just to say it quickly as we on the exit here, Billy, you know who gave the best parlay as a fighter so far on the show?
It's got to be Mike Mallet, man. I couldn't agree anymore on that.
No, it was Kyle Nelson. It was Kyle Nelson, my friend. For Kyle, but Kyle Nelson came in with Josh Emmett, and he put it into a 3-piece with 2 chalk pieces, and it was the biggest parlay we've cashed because Kyle Nelson knows fighting. He's got that fight IQ, and he's going to be that plus 200 dog this week and blow up your 2-piece. So you have like 2 spots this week, sort of. I know we're picking on you, but you had to expect.
From your heart, or are you speaking from? Are you speaking from like a Canadian perspective? Because you're coming down to the land down under down here in South Jersey, Atlantic City. Don't walk outside the Boardwalk Hall Arena to go pick up your cash. You might get robbed by somebody. I think Bill Algeo.
How was that Padilla? How was that Padilla parlay that got blown up on you last year? And how was the other parlay that Kyle blew up on you last year? Who was on the one side of it? I'll take it all day long. Now, in the win or the loss, I love both fighters. It's a great banter back and forth. You had to know it was going to be volatile when you come up north of the border and talk to 2 Canadians. One a big fan of Kyle, the other who's trained with him. But I love the back and forth. I love the picks, guys. Thank you very much for your time. Couch versus the Coach, Adam Assenza, Billy Briz. Thank you very much for your time.